I've often wondered how Chris Bumstead,
Chris Bumstead,
aka Cbum.
Cbum's not me, I'm Christopher.
this down-to-earth kid from Canada with a lisp,
What is up, YouTube?
What is up, YouTube?
ended up rivaling the legendary Arnold Schwarzenegger in bodybuilding.
I think that Chris Bumstead is fantastic. I think that he's the most popular bodybuilder right now.
You are the true Porsche for the white.
Probably the most mainstream bodybuilder that ever existed without even getting into the movie.
No one would do what he does, no one. Without this division, he probably wouldn't have done much of anything.
Classic Physique hadn't found someone who had set the standard of what it was meant to look like.
It's not about winning, it's not about a trophy, it's about having no quit.
What's the difference between 5 and 6 or 7? Nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't it interesting though that to people represents like the ultimate physique?
How did you make that decision to drop out of college?
I need to do it because this girl's so special, you know? I don't know if I can live without this girl. Like, it couldn't be more powerful than that. You know, go to the gym, go to work, do this, do that, just don't think about it, put it down, push it down, push it. And I kept doing that. I don't know what's deep inside Chris.
This is the story of Chris Bumstead.
I was like, how can I love this little thing so much?
The day was the 2nd of February 1995 in Ottawa, Ontario, the capital city of Canada. The air was cold and the ground was covered in snow as Jeff Bumstead rushed into the hospital, holding the hands of his 5-year-old daughter, Melissa, excited to meet the newest member of the family. Inside the hospital room, Mary Bumstead was giving birth, and then, with a cry that echoed through the room, a healthy baby boy was born, Christopher Adam Bumstead. His father smiled proudly, and his sister's eyes lit up as she met her baby brother for the very first time. Christopher was welcomed with love into the family. His father, Jeff, worked as a chief information officer in Kingston, while his mother, Mary, helped shape lives as a social worker.
I grew up with a very kind, humble father. My mom was a little bit more of like, he called her chief. That's her nickname. Leave that there.
My mom was a social worker, not exactly a therapist, but she was very like encouraging of getting help like that.
And a sister was also a very strong, confident personality. And then I was the little brother. So I grew up in a pretty like powerful female home. And I think that made me a much better man.
Growing up, Chris and his sister Melissa shared a close bond. With 5 years between them, Melissa naturally took on the role of both the protector and the best friend, always looking out for her younger brother as they navigated childhood together.
My relationship with my sister is really good. We're very close. When we were kids, we definitely bickered and fought. And then as we got older, she was like the cool older sister with the cool sense of fashion. She could buy me alcohol when I was underage. She would buy me the cool clothes and all that kind of stuff.
Like, we'd be the type of kids that, like, if I got something and he wanted it, I would, like, split the chocolate bar in half and give it to him. We're always, like, very supportive of each other.
So, I'll show you my little bedroom. It's my little twin bed. No, for your information, I do not fit in that, but baby brother, you always get shafted with the little bedroom.
We were also like raised to be very independent. I think the way that my parents instilled that in us is by trusting us a lot. Like, our parents give us the benefit of the doubt and trust us a lot.
My lisp has 100% bothered me. I got bullied for it a little bit when I was young.
I did go to speech therapy when I was really young, and it didn't help me at all. My tongue sits over all my teeth when I relax. I can't close my teeth. So it just like hangs out and creates a lisp.
Do you have like some memories of when I was really young, giving like talks and speeches and stuff, or like something in class where I had to get up in front of people and like getting made fun of for my lisp, and then just feeling like really small and like embarrassed and just like, oh, I don't want to ever talk in front of people again.
Oh man.
There's certain words that when they cut, I'm like, did you mean this or this? And then he says it again. I'm like, still not getting it.
If I have a sentence with a TH and an S back to back, I'm fucked. Like, it's hard.
That created some stage fright in me, public speaking anxiety and all that stuff, which I think most people have, but it was pretty extreme for me. I didn't understand how much it made me quiet and overthinking when I talk, and I think I sound weird and all this shit, something I was totally insecure about. I kind of like felt shitty about myself. I felt embarrassed and like, yeah, you're right, I am stupid. I do sound stupid when I talk. I should just shut up and sit over here in the quiet. You're right, you are kind of worse. Let's just go stand over there.
Je peux parler un petit peu de français. J'ai arrêté à parler français quand j'étais dans la 6e année, je pense.
When I was young, I used to always look at the clock and see 9/11. I don't know why, but I would look at it and it would say 9/11 and I would be like something's bad gonna happen.
Well, there was one person that Chris looked up to the most. It was his father, Jeff, a man that was not only his guide in life, but also passed down the bodybuilding genetics and mindset that would later fuel Chris's journey.
Is there somebody growing up that you looked up to specifically?
My dad. He was very stoic. He was a hard worker. He was just the most like emotionally stable, stoic man ever. He was very loving and supportive and patient and kind. No matter what my family was going through, Dad was just like there. He taught me like what like a real man was, but he didn't ask for help. He comes from a family that was very resilient too, from a small town. It wasn't like tough exterior or anything. He was just like
himself. The only person I ever really like wanted to be more like in my life, and I still do.
My dad was a little more athletic. He did gymnastics, ran a lot. He did track as well, but ran more long distance. And he still had like big legs back in high school, even from running so much. So, but he was a pretty big boy too. And my mom wasn't as much into sports, but she was always super fit at a young age and whatnot. So I'm sure genetics come from both sides.
His parents, Jeff and Mary, worked hard to create a safe environment for Chris and Melissa. They believed in building a strong foundation through sports, and they encouraged him to try everything: football, basketball, and even field and hockey, exposing him to a wide range of athletic experiences.
Get out of the way! Yeah, Brad.
By the time Chris entered high school, his love for sports has already taken root. He started building a dream of becoming a top-level athlete, and that feeling of having his success and failure entirely in his hands gave him a strong sense of personal accountability.
I used to be very athletic when I was young. It's really what got me into bodybuilding. I just loved sports. I played 6 of them when I was younger.
When he got into football, he played basketball and track. And
I really like track and field because it was dependent on my own work and kind of forget about everything else and just work really hard, and you get the same results as hard as you work. More of like an athletic training. I can run, I'm strong, I can do a lot of bodyweight exercises.
At just 13 years old, he began weightlifting as a hobby. It was simply something that he enjoyed doing on the side, never imagining it would lead to anything more.
I was playing sports, and I figured to get strong, I had to get in the gym. When I was 13 years old, I started really getting a gym membership and training, even doing push-ups and stuff and pull-ups in my basement, just trying to do anything.
he enjoyed the weight room and doing all the work he was doing in football.
It wasn't very serious, obviously, because I didn't really know what I was doing. And I just fell in love with the whole process of all that.
And I immediately just started putting on muscle. I was a skinny kid to begin with, but I just put on muscle really easily.
Obviously, I had great genetics, so as I was training, I was progressed, started to get some attention for that. It felt good.
Young kid trying to find his way in life.
And there was a way to be like seen and important. You'll be like, oh, you're jacked, you have a lot of muscle, and you're like, fuck yeah, this feels good.
And in grade 10, I was like bringing chicken and rice to school. Like,
a weird kid in high school, getting meals in all day, eating it in class and whatnot. Teachers thought it was nuts. I was like a savage eating just like nasty shit like that. So I was hungry and I was trying to get huge.
We never thought of bodybuilding as his passion.
I didn't give a about bodybuilding. Didn't know what bodybuilding was. I didn't have magazines. There was no bodybuilders I looked up to. I really didn't start to understand any bodybuilders or who they were until I started competing myself. I just loved working out, and I wanted to be big and jacked for football and basketball. What's giving me some attention right now, like muscles, like chase it. Let's keep doing this.
Christopher grew up in what seemed to be the perfect childhood. Loving parents and a stable home, he was good at sports, excellent in school, and never caused trouble. Everyone assumed that he was fine, but behind the surface, Chris felt a different kind of pressure. While all the attention was directed towards his sister, Chris found himself in the background, always the good kid who never needed help. He quietly carried the weight of being the one who had it all together. Good enough, but never truly seen.
People call me Cbum, they don't know who I am, and then there's Christopher. There's like that 12-year-old Christopher who's just like, he's emotional, he's anxious, he's stressed out, but he's quiet. I'm a very introverted person, and I tend to keep things to myself. You often go into therapy because of a problem in front of you, and it always almost brings you back to your childhood. And I was like, I had the perfect childhood. My parents were still together, I was happy, I was good, I was great. Part of my childhood of just feeling like, I saw my dad, didn't really need help. My mom was busy. They were both super busy with work, and they gave me everything that they could. My parents tried their best and they did amazing, but there was a lot going on in life. And my sister was going through a lot, who was older than me, and then I was the kid who was like at sports doing this and that, so I was all kid. Like, don't worry about Chris, he's got it all together.
He's got it figured out.
He's good, you know? He had to hold it all together. He couldn't lean on anyone. He couldn't ask for help, and I don't want to add stress to my family, so I'm just gonna hold it in and handle it all myself. I literally remember thinking like, all these compliments I'm getting, these people don't even know who I am. I also didn't really feel like I had anyone that I could go out to and reach out to in hard times, and if I was scared or sad about something, there was someone who I could lean on or talk to. The reason it was tricky for me is because I knew that my parents did love me so much, and I did have people who loved me, and if I were to share with them, they would be there for me, but I just felt like it'd be better just hold it on myself. So I kind of denied that part of myself for a while. Part of it is it hurts a lot more to be rejected for who you really are, because if you put your real self out there and it gets rejected, it means you're really not good enough.
Between his freshman and senior years, Chris transformed his body, growing from 170 to 225 pounds, with his legs showing the most growth.
His muscles responded well to working out because he developed a good muscular structure pretty early on. You could see definition that you didn't see on the other kids, so we could tell that he had a pretty good genetics.
My advantage when I was young is I always had like muscle maturity. You talk about like that density. I always had that way ahead of most people because I trained and pushed myself further. And
I was hardcore back in the day. I remember getting really into it to the point where in winter in Canada, I would like put a jacket on, a hood on, jog to the gym, and then I would train. Come back from school, have like basketball practice, football practice, something, and then run to the gym, train, and then run home and like eat and go to bed and go to school the next morning in high school.
When you get the respect from guys from being the bigger guy, girls see that and they kind of like it.
And that's when I started to get a little attention from the ladies. That first picture of me with that headband and that green shirt.
Yeah, that's the one.
I was in high school, full natural, been training for a few years.
Never thought my life would rely on bodybuilding. Bodybuilding was like a plan C. Actually wasn't even a plan. My parents always pushed me, just education first, education first.
Guys like him come along once every 10, 20 years or something like that.
But when I was younger, I really liked Barry DeMay. He was just, an all-American, like good-looking dude who had classic physique style. Flex Wheeler was one of my favorite for sure.
It's really weird when you think about being a 15-year-old kid going to the gym in the summer, thinking of where it would bring my life now,
But on the other side, he realized that he didn't have the skills to compete at the highest level of the sports he loved, which forced him to rethink his path. The dream of becoming a top-level athlete was fading, and with that, he knew he needed to start looking for another possible future career. And that's what he did after graduating from high school. Chris chose to take a gap year before starting college to discover the passion that he wants to pursue.
I was taking a year off high school to make some money, pay for university and stuff. And I was like, I might as well just spend all my time training and working.
During this year, he took on side jobs and short-term gigs, but none of them gave him the fulfillment that he was seeking.
Ottawa, this is where I was raised. I was here my whole life. There's a lot of government workers. We got the parliament back there. Pretty low-paced city where you kind of get your job, working 9 to 5, and you just roll with it like that. There isn't the big fitness community. Social media is just kind of sneaking in. You see someone vlogging in public and it's weird.
This is the time to stack it all on top. This is my time to do all this, but this is also the most exciting time of my life to enjoy where I'm actually at. We were all kind of raised in a self-esteem society of being you can do anything, you can be anything, go be this, X, Y, and Z, and it almost built expectations that we had to be these great things because we could be, and our parents didn't have these opportunities and the privileges, so we go do all these things, and there's just no need for any of it, and I think when you were able to alleviate that pressure from it, we were talking about the difference of the extrinsic goals of trying to be the best in the world versus just trying to be my best self. And then when you look back at it, you're that was kind of beautiful.
Rubber
go
and
balls
magic.
to the wall.
Yeah.
Enjoy this time right now. Go deadlift fucking max out every day and just seep in these moments because they will be gone.
I got my first job at a deli in a grocery store, so I was cutting meat for sandwich meat. And then out of high school, I worked for a moving company, 9 to 5 every single day. After that, I worked at a supplement store, which was the easiest thing ever. You could just sit there and try and sell shit. I also worked at a gym when I was at university, so I worked at my university gym, which was really convenient because I could sit there and eat, I could train there, I could study. And one job that no one knows about, but I actually worked as a salesman in a perfume store. It was a pretty funny thing, and my friends would come in, they would laugh at me the whole time. But
at 17, his casual weightlifting began to shape what he believed to be a good physique, until he met Ian Valier, the biggest guy in the city at the time, who just so happened to be his sister's boyfriend and a professional IFBB bodybuilder. With him, the young Chris had the chance to meet other bodybuilders, and his love and understanding for this sport started to grow.
And then Ian came into my life, started dating my sister. They met each other when I was in high school, and I was into working out at the time, but not so much bodybuilding. In terms of bodybuilding world, he's the guy I looked up to. The cool jack guy of the city, the most jack guy in Ottawa. And he saw a lot of potential in me. He's like, yo, you have crazy genetics.
When I met Chris, he was obviously a young kid. He was still in high school, and I could tell at that point that he did have aspirations to bodybuild.
As many pros as I've met, he's the strongest, hardest training, most disciplined guy out of all of them. Jim Bro was fucking freak, strong motherfucker who I was always chasing after, and it made me push myself. So when he saw the potential I had, I worked out with him every now and then. He helped me kind of understand how to put on more muscle.
In this period, he also entered Dalhousie University of Halifax, Nova Scotia. He considered a career in physiotherapy, seeing it was a way to stay connected to the world of sports.
If you didn't do bodybuilding, what else do you think you'd be doing?
I thought I was going to become a physiotherapist. That's a lot of fucking school. 7 years.
Yeah.
It's becoming a doctor almost. I'm not even as hard.
I was in health sciences at school, and I just was going to finish that and take life on after that.
But as I was going through, the time I was thinking I might because of the impact they had on my life, was becoming a high school teacher. Could have been a good gym teacher, I feel like.
Yeah.
And also help people, hopefully.
Yeah, you would have been you would have been a beauty gym teacher.
Imagine a different life. You're just a gym teacher.
Just a gym teacher. Wild.
You'd have crushed that.
So yeah, you never know.
But as time passed, doubt crept in. His heart wasn't fully committed, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was waiting for him. It was a time of uncertainty, and like many at his age, unsure of what the future held. Chris found himself drawn into a different world, the party life.
I was a nice, respectable, caring, empathetic fuckboy.
Surrounded by a lot of friends, Chris created some of his best memories, living every moment to the fullest. College wasn't just about lectures and career choices anymore. It was a mixture of fun, friends, and freedom. Jumped into the wild nights, made new friends whenever he went, and had a way with girls. Party Chris, as he would call it later.
How did you become the party guy?
You know, I was young. We had a good group of friends who had a lot of friends, and we were in college, and what else are you going to do? We were just enjoying life. I've always had just a natural instinct of just to enjoy whatever state of life you're in. College, I was like, this is the only time I'm going to be able to live with a group of guys and just like have like little to no responsibility. I wasn't going to class and like a part-time job. It wasn't too difficult, so we just enjoyed it as best as we could, and I still trained all the time. The strongest I ever was, somehow, was when I was like getting blackout drunk 3 times a week. And I'd go to the gym the next day, go to the cafeteria at like 1 p.m. after I woke up, get some food in, go to the gym and squat like 600 pounds.
I was in college chasing after girls.
You were like a little virgin boy in high school.
I was a good, nice little boy.
Yeah, for sure. All the girls loved you. I remember the older women too loved you. And my friends, like all the women loved you, but I feel like you didn't like fuck around, you know?
I was a party animal for sure. My house threw a lot of parties. I drank like 3 times a week, went to the bars.
I'm not a very violent person at all either, so I'm not really.
Yeah, you're pretty chill. Have you ever gotten in a fight?
Yeah, one.
At a party?
A bar.
And you were drunk?
Yeah. I mean, I was defending someone, to be fair, but someone came up and like, yo, someone's trying to fight me, Chris. And I come downstairs and some guy's still like yapping, blah, blah, blah. And there's like a girl there like behind him screaming at us and shit. And I like step in front and he was like pushing my friend, so I stepped in front of him like, yo, back off. And then he just swings a punch at me out of nowhere. He was shorter than me, so I like pushed him back like this, grabbed his shirt, pulled him, and then just clocked him once. And he just like dropped. And I hit him one more time and he just hit the ground and that was it.
I remember just going to the bar and like 30-year-old women hitting on you all the time. And I was like...
And I was just blasted in my mind. And I couldn't speak to them.
No, you could. You would just say like, oh, you're so beautiful. Like, you're such a schmoozer. But you'd be obviously too drunk to close the deal. Wouldn't even want to close the deal. And then you'd just like run away from them. Like all the time.
But as the party scene carried on, he began to feel a shift deep down. He knew the choice was coming. At 19 years old, Chris finally chose to take bodybuilding more seriously, the one thing that he was truly good at. But this wasn't just about lifting weights. The real challenge came with an even bigger decision. It wasn't a choice he made alone. His sister Melissa joined the journey as well. Together, they took the first step into this world with the right guidance from Ian Valier.
I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, and I was 100% natural. So like, there's no reason for me to lie about that. And I can say this with much truth, and the picture was really good, but I was 18 years old, and then I hopped on stuff like 6 months later, I think, because I took a year off after high school, and then it was in the winter of that year off, I was working a moving job, like doing shit, and I remember I was like, fuck it, I want to try competing, I want to try hopping on some stuff and getting big and competing.
That decision has to be your own, and it has to be well-educated decision, because people like bodybuilding for like a few years and they're like, take steroids, and they're like, I don't actually like bodybuilding.
Bodybuilding world is so strange because it literally is impossible to compete without steroids.
It's just so paradoxical where you have this like industry built off of portraying a healthy lifestyle, but then you're also doing like the most paradoxical, unhealthy thing to your body simultaneously.
Isn't it interesting though that to people represents like the ultimate physique?
Yeah, it's fucked.
Like looking like you're dying, that's the ultimate physique. How long can they do that? Like,
it depends. Some of them die in like their late 20s. It's fucked.
Jesus.
Yeah.
The side effects to it can vary so greatly depending on the person. You just never know what you're going into. You know, you could do one cycle and then your natural testosterone could be dumped for the rest of your life, or you have to be on TRT forever.
In March 2014, Chris started his first enhanced cycle under Ian's watchful eye. He marked the start of Chris's serious bodybuilding career as he pushed his body beyond its natural limits to step on stage for the very first time.
You've mentioned before people would be very surprised at how low those numbers are.
He's never needed much. It's always been very conservative, and we've just kind of kept it there because he's continually succeeded with what we've been using. So there's no reason to push it. We don't need much. Let's just keep that in our mind.
Chris and Melissa entered a regional bodybuilding show in Ontario, Canada, and both walked away with overall victories, with Melissa winning the figure title and Chris dominating the junior. And you could already see the beginnings of the signature physique that would soon set him apart.
The first show that I did, as well as Christopher's first show, was the same stage. I mean, we both didn't really have any idea what was going to happen.
My parents watching me do a show, that's like felt just weird. I put on a small little posing trunks.
We had to go up first, and I remember being so nervous to take my pants off in front of the crowd and wear this little like
mankini type thing on stage. And I realized I had to go walk in front of 100 people at a small show and just stand out there and pose, which I was on stage and I was like shaking up there. And I barely even remember being on stage the first time because I was so nervous.
I ended up winning the overall, and so did he. And he was actually a junior, and he ended up winning the overall in the open category. So against grown men, basically. And I think that's when it was kind of like, holy shit, like this guy's gonna be a big deal.
I swear to God, to this day, she has better genetics than I do.
That moment changed everything for him. After stepping on stage, he fell in love with the sport. From then on, he started working closely with Lane and fully dedicated himself to bodybuilding. As he said, he wanted to live the experience.
You know, I'm just so grateful I fell into something that I was so passionate about that took a lot of effort and work, but that I also loved to do. And my body was built for, and my mind was built for. You know, I was clearly genetically built to be a bodybuilder. Mentally, physically, environmentally, my relationships, everything flowed perfectly for me to be in this perfect position. And it's hard to say where I would end up without this life. I remember the first time I walked into school. I was 19. I was 250 pounds. Just competed 2 weeks before, so I was looking like tan. I had a man bun and like a subtle beard, and I'm walking into residence first year. And parents were just like, looking, and I was carrying a case of beer. The first thing I carried in was like, beer. Parents were, and I was the only one legal enough to drink because everyone else was 18.
Yeah.
People were just looking like, what the f.
But out of nowhere, Chris had to take another year off college when he found himself dealing with a mysterious health issue that doctors couldn't identify. The condition caused him to hold on to a lot of water, leaving him not just physically drained but emotionally as well. Sitting alone in the hospital, struggling to seek for help, he couldn't shake the feeling that just like when he was younger, he had to keep holding everything together on his own.
I was in the hospital. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't want to tell them because I didn't want them to be stressed and anxious. And then they found out, and I was like, it's okay, like don't come, I'm totally fine, like, you know, like don't even bother coming, I'll be out of here in no time, it's okay. And I thought about that and I broke down crying again. And I was like, why didn't I ask for help? I felt so scared and alone. And just to have my mom sitting beside me, I'm a man, I'm 20 years old at the time, it would have felt better, but why am I so scared to ask for help? I think there was a fear that if I tried to lean on someone and rely on someone to like hold me while I was falling or whatever, or when I needed someone to lean on, that they might not be there for me. So instead of ever leaning on anyone, I just didn't. And it was easier to protect myself like that. I got my mom to cut my hair last night. Oh my god. I don't know if you can see it right there, but she butchered it.
Oh my gosh.
Getting a haircut from mom.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Huh, look at this place. Christmas lights up already. There's not even a drop of snow. Oh yeah, look at us. We're so cool. We got our Christmas lights up already. Merry Christmas. Nice one. Look how Bumstead leaves his kitchen. Look at this place. I think Chris is in the shower. Hey Chris, would you just get out of the shower? My name's Chris Bumstead and I put my Christmas lights up early so I seem kind of caring so girls will DM me.
After months of uncertainty, Chris finally recovered and he began his journey towards earning his pro card in July 2015. With his signature long hair gone, Chris competed at the CBBF National Bodybuilding Championships. And you could clearly see the progress that he made in his physique as he stands against older and more experienced bodybuilders. He won first place in the junior heavyweight division and secured third overall. A year later, after taking an off-season to focus on his points like posing and transitions, Chris returned to the same competition. This time, he placed second in the heavyweight class after a close battle with Khalid Shihabi. Just 2 months later, Chris finally earned his IFBB Pro card in the 2015 North America Championships at just 21 years of age, joining his sister Melissa in the IFBB ranks.
Say hello.
Definitely gonna ride that today.
ready to lose? Woo!
Hey babe, where are we going to eat? Oh my god.
Yeah, I'll get a picture with us.
I got a bunch.
Watching him from
I literally was about to quit bodybuilding in 2016 because I didn't want to be an open bodybuilder. At 6'1", I'd have to be 300 pounds or go down to men's physique, and I wasn't wearing board shorts and I wasn't getting 300 pounds. So I was going to retire.
Even before Classic came out, I never wanted to succeed in pro bodybuilding and be at that level.
Around the same time, the IFBB began testing for the Classic Physique division in their affiliate shows.
But then literally that year Classic Physique came out and I was like, this is for me. I'll give it a shot.
Once the Classic Physique division came into fruition, I could really see Chris's physique fitting into that division, the potential there for him to really grow and excel.
Without this division, he probably wouldn't have done much of anything.
Chris saw an exciting opportunity without hesitation. He chose to make his pro debut at the Diana Cadot Classic in October 2016. Finishing in the third place behind Terence Ruffin and Darren Charles was frustrating for him, and he knew he had to improve himself to rise to the top. Exactly 1 year later, Chris won his first pro title at the 2017 Pittsburgh Pro.
So I was going to that show, obviously the biggest show of my life. Obviously I'm always trying to go for the best spot possible, but I wasn't expecting that kind of outcome for sure. So really happy with the result.
Just 2 weeks later, he followed up by winning his second title at the IFBB Toronto Pro.
With Chris Bumstead, Classic Physique.
Physique just came out, and as soon as it came out, I knew that's what I wanted to try.
I remember seeing you being like, this kid's got crazy shape. I wonder if he really looks like that.
I heard a lot of good rumblings about you. This new guy coming up, this young guy, and he's going to do damage.
A lot of people say this is the future. This division is the future. A lot of guys see you as the future of the division.
It really means a lot to me. I get messages all the time saying everyone's excited to see me on the stage at the Olympia, what's going to go down, so the support means a lot, absolutely.
Now, we get to the point where it gets even more interesting. For the first time, Chris Bumstead is about to step onto the legendary stage of Mr. Olympia in Classic Physique, the division that would be his home for the next 8 years.
What's up everybody, it's Chris Bumstead here.
As his bodybuilding goals began to stack up, Chris launched a YouTube channel to share his journey with the world.
What is up YouTube? What is up YouTube?
What is up YouTube?
The person filming you can make it really awkward, like you said, with people just shoving stuff in your face or whatever. So it is good to find someone who knows how to make a natural conversation but know how to cut it.
And then I was kind of bored because I wasn't really doing anything with my job. So I was just like, do you want a YouTube video? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then I just basically stuck around and followed him the whole entire day. And I made him a video. It was the most garbage edit of my life.
The first time he came and lived with me was the first time ever leaving home.
Yeah.
And I had to teach him how to use a laundry machine. Just a child. This is why I give Calvin shit and he's my little brother, because I literally had to teach him how to live in the real world.
But what seemed like a great opportunity quickly uncovered a deep root insecurity from his childhood, his lisp. Speaking to the camera brought back those old feelings of self-doubt, forcing him to confront something that he had long struggled with.
One of the roasts I used to get that I sound like a deaf, mentally challenged person.
And then when I hear myself, I was like, I sound like I'm stupid. I sound like I'm deaf.
Someone in person, he said something like, oh wow, when you were a kid, girls must have been like, here's this good-looking, tall, jacked, handsome guy. Come up to him and then you open your mouth and they hear your voice in that lisp and they're like, what the f? And they're like, fuck this guy, and they leave you alone. And I remember feeling like a kid again, just getting this washed over embarrassment and just feeling like 12 years, 15 years old again. And I was like, wow. And I'm like, that still is kind of in there a little bit.
It took me 2 years of YouTube to not mute it when I'm listening to myself. But can't control it.
And then we just owned it, threw it on t-shirts, on pre-workouts. Pre-workouts called Bavage. And then we have isolate instead of isolate.
That's
for our
dope.
team.
That's
So we're
dope.
just
Going to his first Olympia, holding the hands of his girlfriend at the time, Sabrina Tweeman, Chris had nothing to lose. He was the underdog.
And my girlfriend, of course, she's got to put up with me throughout prep every day, and she's been amazing with it. She helps me with my meals when I need it. It helps keep me sane, keep my mind off being so hungry, and it's been super supportive.
At only 22 years of age, he didn't just impress the crowd and judges, he brought a new sense of aesthetics to the Olympia that hadn't been seen in years, showing the world what a classic physique truly looked like.
Now let's see what the judges like.
The title of 2017 Classic Olympia champion, Brian Ansley.
All right, there it is. Breon Ansley is your 2017 class.
Although he finished in the second place after Breon Ansley, this was a dream come true for him and his family. But Chris knew he still had areas to work on. There were also critiques who doubted Chris's potential, claiming that those arms would never win a Mr. Olympia title. And this only fueled the pressure and expectations for the following year.
Hey Chris, huge fan, love your physique. If I can just suggest one thing, I think you should just maybe try training your biceps a little more and bring them up for next year and you'll be unbeatable.
Just have really shitty bicep insertion. If you look at it, that's what a normal person's arm kind of looks like when they're flexed. Like, sorry, my wrist is turned this way and my bicep is like that. But when I turn it up, look how short that gets. It makes it look much smaller. It's literally looked like this my entire life. I just have shitty arms. So thanks for exposing me, guys.
It's no secret that I'm a genetic freak. And if I just stop being a pussy and do the work myself, the results come.
In social media, the buzz surrounding him exploded. Everyone was talking about the rising star from Canada. He quickly built a large following. It wasn't just about aesthetic physique, but also for his charming looks and confident attitude. His honest and humble personality connected with the fans, making it easy for people to admire and respect him. He was the right person at the right time in the right place, effortlessly drawing everyone in.
Got the dub, eh? Dub, yo. Got the dub.
How bad you want it? How bad you want it? How bad you want it?
Flirt? Renato? Flirt. Flirt.
Next! Let's go next!
So you're doing men's physique?
Yeah.
I think that I'm alright. I think I'm not so tired. I just feel the pressure.
Hello.
I'm starving!
We're here with the Canadian power couple.
I wonder why I cannot just sit for a while. I really want to see what it looks like. To have a moment I know that would be mine. When you read
The myth, the legend. Last night, so lucky me. Always find prizes in the back of my car. I did get to see someone jump off the roof last night.
2, 1!
Every time you end a video, I'm like,
Whoa!
Show the duck face.
This is what I know, I just keep running.
Snow's finally going away here in Canada, so.
Never thinking about now. The living I'm happy thanks to all the things that I have to try. I wanted this, I wanted to be fine. I wonder why I cannot just sit for.
Oh no, we need the whole thing.
It's funny too because what held me back from doing like social media and YouTube at first was the fact that I can't like be super extrovert and outgoing and have a big personality and all these things that a lot of people on social media are.
He's eloquent, he's professional, well-spoken. That's why the people love him. He's got millions of followers.
Good morning, party people.
It's weird being so young and feeling kind of new to it, having people come up to me and like almost looking up to me when I'm still feeling like a young new guy sometimes.
I'm Chris Bumstead. I'll be your host for the day. I'm gonna be showing you guys how to get huge.
I had a decent following before that, and then when I started winning, it climbed a lot faster. People started to notice I was not only a successful bodybuilder, but also like a normal human being who liked bodybuilding. I think they enjoyed that and they related to that. And I think my videos are the most boring things ever.
Half the time I see people, I just lie down.
But people love it, and now it's a personality, I guess you could say, but I used to think it was a lack of that. People come up to me like, are you Chris Bumstead? I'm like, I get that all the time, man. Like, no, like, people always say I look like him. I can promise you, most girls do not like bodybuilders. If you're too big and too muscular, they find it kind of gross.
You're young, you're ready to just walk in and, have a great career. Stay humble, stay humble.
However, this success brought Chris to a major turning point in life. He had to make a tough decision whether to continue his studies and take a degree or believing in his genetics and leap into the world of professional bodybuilding. In the end, Chris made the bold choice to drop out of college during his second year, something he never imagined doing. It was a risky move.
I was thinking about that the other day of how when we were young, we're told we can be anything. And then we realize it's a lie. And then we realize we're telling ourselves it's a lie because we actually just realize how much work it's going to take.
How did you make that decision to drop out of college?
So I got into 2 years of my school done.
There for 4 years, but on my second year of school. But I was competing almost as a hobby. And I was putting a lot of effort into it, obviously, but I was still like, all right, I need to get a career. I need to graduate school. and I need to like have a future for myself. The first year I came second, I was like, went from amateur winning a pro show to coming second at the Olympia all in a year. And I was like, okay, like clearly I've proven to myself I'm willing to put in the work and discipline to this.
And then I got to the point where I got offered a big contract where I had to travel a lot. I knew I couldn't balance those two, and I had to kind of make a decision. Am I going to go compete at the Olympia and get the sponsor and travel and kind of live my dream? Or do I want to finish school right now? And I was like, I'm going to chase my dream.
I think he called us up and said, look, I think I'm probably not going back after his second year because I'm going to focus on this full time.
I never had the intention to do that, and I didn't do it to be lazy. My mom's still not happy with it.
When Christopher went off to university, we said to both of them, go wherever you want to go as far as you want to go. So life can be different. In fact, I wanted both of them to go as far as they wanted to go just so that they could see the world is bigger than Canada kind of thing.
She'll still tell me, you can go back to college and it's only 2 years left of school.
Maybe I'll go back to school in the future, but like probably not. But I really don't think at this point in my life I need a piece of paper of a degree telling me that I went to school.
I knew how important it was to my parents. I'm like, if I do this, this is everything. No more partying. I still live here, but I'm not going out with the guys. I'm not missing any meals. I'm putting all my... This isn't like a lazy excuse to leave school, and this is going to be my everything. When you're young, luckily, you're at the greatest opportunity in your life to take risk and to fail. Yeah. That's what I did. And then the rest was history,
On top of that, he made another painful decision to break up with his girlfriend Sabrina. They were no longer at the same page, and Chris knew that to fully commit to his dream, he had to let go, even if it meant breaking his own heart. His passion for bodybuilding was pulling him in a new direction.
We're both young, we grew apart, no regrets, no bad blood between us, we still talk, we're still friends, just people kind of grow apart. We had some good times together.
I think men do get hurt a little bit harsher.
I think
because
so too.
They just feel so disrespected, and they're like, why would a woman do that to me? Like they feel like this demasculated too.
If you break up, like it's because you're meant to be... I'm like, there's no fucking rules to life. There's no rules.
Yeah.
Unless you're Jordan Peterson. There's only 12.
I wouldn't change anything though, I don't think so.
A lot of people too are asking me how you deal with a breakup. Just keep yourself distracted. It's not too hard, especially when I was traveling.
Breakups make bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Right.
There are some women out there that don't like muscles. Who cares? You don't train for other people, you're training for yourself, and that's the important thing, that you do it because you like it. And then if you find somebody out there that enjoys you and likes you for what you are and the way you are, then it's the right person. If they don't, then forget it.
This set the bar even higher for Chris's second year as a pro, with expectations that he might just take the biggest prize in bodybuilding. But as he stepped onto the stage, something was clearly wrong. His physique looked off, lacking the sharpness he'd shown in the year before, appearing softer and holding more water. Breon Ansley seized the night, successfully defending his classic physique Olympia title, while Chris was more than happy when he came in second place, satisfied but visibly different, leaving everyone wondering what was happening to Cbum. 4 weeks before the show, Chris woke up 15 pounds heavier when he found out that his old struggle with water retention had returned. He rushed into the hospital, losing 6 days of training. While many have considered dropping out, Chris wasn't ready to give up. Just a day before leaving for Vegas, he got the diagnosis, a rare kidney condition causing his body to swell with water, and if he couldn't manage it, Cbum wouldn't be able to step on stage again.
I was in the hospital truly, and they didn't know what was wrong with me.
I didn't know if I'd be competing at the Olympia. I didn't know if I'd be bodybuilding ever again.
They didn't know if I was going to be sick for the rest of my life, if I was going to have to be on meds for the rest of my life. I didn't know what was wrong with me.
I didn't want to talk about any of it before the show because I didn't want that kind of unneeded attention. I didn't want to come to the show as an excuse of why I'm not going to be 100%. People saw I wasn't as crisp, I wasn't as detailed as I was last year. So I was diagnosed with IgA disease.
I'd put on like 20 pounds of water weight overnight, and I was just shins were inflamed.
Like honestly, every single morning I woke up and I was so discouraged with how I looked. I'm just so grateful that I had my sister and Ian. I wouldn't have made it through this prep without them. They did our first comparisons and they brought me and Breon back to the back of the stage. At that moment right there, I was done. I was like, I had already won in my mind. I'm fucking crying like forever and now I can't even talk on this goddamn camera. I looked over at Ian, even Ian was crying. Fucking big tough Ian had tears in his eyes and I lost it. Breon was on, he deserved that win. I got a fucking good life. Here's something to deal with. Let's get through it, let's deal with it.
What happened to me in 2018 is the reason why I am successful today. I believe that truly.
Just after the Olympia, Chris watched his sister Melissa marry his best friend Lane Valier in a beautiful ceremony in Ottawa. It wasn't just a wedding. It was a moment that filled him with the hope and made him think about family and love.
Melissa,
In these past 6 years we spent together, you've taught me patience, trust, and the value of communication. I don't know how I got so lucky to be marrying someone as perfect as you are to me, but I never take it for granted, and I promise I never will. I love you, and I choose you now and forever.
I love you so much, and I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you.
These two have showed me that it's not until you find your soulmate that you truly grow into who you're meant to be. It's through the trials and triumphs you face and the experiences you share that may be meaningless to the world around you, but become lifelong memories to the two of you. You find yourself slowly shaping into something you never could have imagined. Not because you found what you want to do in life, but because you found someone worth doing it with.
So here's to your joy and ours forever.
As he celebrated this special time with his family and during all the difficulties that he had been through, a beautiful flower began to bloom in his life. He met someone who would change everything for him, a lovely girl named Courtney King.
What's up with you and Courtney? Not much more than you guys see, I think. We're dating.
The incredible thing of how me and Courtney met was I put out my first YouTube video crying, and that was the video that she saw. She's like, okay, this is that guy, the big, strong bodybuilding guy, and now he's on YouTube crying. Like, there's a mismatch there. Something's different about him. And she's like, wow, this guy's different.
I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is so freaking sweet and humble.
And then she reached out to me.
I slitted the DM.
She actually slitted my DMs.
No way.
Chris didn't reply to me. So I messaged him again. I sent him 3 DMs.
Always reply too late. Number one tip ever.
Chris sees it, he starts smiling, and he lays on his bed with his feet kind of kicked up behind him, kind of just kicking in the air, just thinking of a response.
He finally responded this paragraph. We start talking.
It's been difficult, obviously, and it sucks being long distance.
Because she was in Chicago, I was in Canada. Right.
And it literally was a high school relationship where we would call each other at night and be on the phone for 3 hours. It felt so right.
Was obsessed with her, so we were talking on the phone. 2 months of just on the phone talking, and I fucking hate talking on the phone.
Me too.
I don't talk a lot, and I hate talking on the phone.
So then he's like, I want come down to Canada, we can actually meet.
And did you fly her out, or did she fly out?
She flew herself out.
She flew herself out?
Yeah. Looking back, I'm like, what an asshole, but fuck, I mean, we didn't know each other yet, you know?
He's like, I actually need to tell you something. I'm like, this guy is probably a player, or I wasn't looking for that. I really connected with him. So he's like, we have actually met. And I'm like, Chris, we've never met.
I already had a crush on her from before, because she was Miss Olympia in 2016.
And he sends me a photo from 2017. I was competing at the Arnold. He came by and took this photo with me. He's like, I literally came by, took the photo for Snapchat, and then just kept going.
She flew to Canada, though. That's how we technically met in person.
We ended up sleeping in my bed together, but we had
pillow
the pillow between each other, no cuddling, just facing the other direction. And that was also all right, she's a good girl, you know?
Yeah.
I respect that. And then she met my parents, they loved her. My sister, at first didn't really like her, but my sister didn't like any girls in my life.
(2019).
After missing out on the title by just 1 point last year, Canada's Chris Bumstead is coming back to the Olympia stage with one thing on his mind: victory.
In 2019, with his family behind him, Cbum was determined to give it all, making sure nothing would go wrong. To help manage his inflammation, he started using cold water baths, which became a part of his key routine.
The biggest part was obviously getting my body back to health. So I was taking the meds I was taking, which really sucked, cutting back on protein, food in general.
Trying to convince myself I'm not going to get sick. And then I switched to telling myself, no, you are healthy. You are going to be okay. All this stuff. Am I going to get sick? I don't know. But when it happens, you're going to deal with it and you'll be okay. So just enjoy this moment right now.
Just went through a lot of shit, and for everything to kind of come together at the perfect time, I'm so excited to finally bring to the stage what I know I should have been able to for the last few years. Crying all over the internet last year. I mean, this year I've been so grateful to have an amazing team at my back. I've been healthy, my prep's gone smooth. So this year I'm really excited just to kind of show off a brand new look and bring something that's never been seen before.
Although there were many doubts about Chris's conditioning, when he stepped on stage we saw a very confident Chris Bumstead, showing a muscular quality and a much improved conditioning. More importantly, for the very first time he had grown his now famous mustache, and since then he had never stepped on stage without it. On the other hand, the reigning champion Breon Ansley had also made significant improvements, making it hard to dethrone him. And yet, if anyone could take on that challenge, it was Chris.
In the prejudging was probably like the biggest moment for me. I had this different mindset that I hadn't had in the last few years where I like confident that I had the ability to take it. That was like the best feeling overall, just knowing everything had fallen into place, all the work over the years, everything has been leading up to this. My posing felt good, everything just felt amazing. And it's me and Breon beside each other, and it's the same thing they call 5, 4, 3, and then it's me and Breon left standing there alone. I was just kind of sitting there. I put my head down, I was just like holding my breath pretty much. Nothing going in my brain, just like waiting for that moment.
Breon Ansley!
And just like that, the dream became a reality as Christopher made history by winning his first Mr. Olympia title.
Such a relief off my shoulders to see him finally accomplish that, especially knowing how much adversity Chris has faced.
We all just like exploded with emotion. Like I think I blacked out.
The biggest thing I felt was just relief. I'm like, fuck, I did it, it's over. Okay, you can relax.
I'm not a loser. I'm
like,
not a piece of shit.
I didn't really feel joy and happiness and all these things. You know, I remember going in the shower and like crying because I was expecting to feel all that joy and I didn't get it. And it was almost like this disappointment afterwards where I was like, what am I missing right now? Like, why am I feeling all this? This isn't right. There's no way I'm going to dedicate this much of my life, sacrifice this much to feel like this. 2019 was the year I finished, won the Olympia, went home, and I was like, I'm done. I'm retiring. And then a day or two goes by or a week or something and you're like, I gotta do that again, but better, because now that's my standard. Ever since then, I've been like, if I do one more, then I'm lucky to do one more. And I'm gonna take it 1 year at a time.
2020. Not everyone was pleased with Chris's victory. Breon Ansley and his coach Chris Cornier were vocal on social media, claiming that Breon had been robbed.
Breon, in like 2 weeks ago, made a video.
I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go here because this is my damn channel.
You do whatever you want.
Okay, I'm gonna go here. So, there should never be a Mr. Olympia that lacks anywhere. You should never call a Mr. Olympia that lacks in body parts anywhere. Every Mr. Olympia should have a complete, balanced physique and not lack body parts. I'm gonna go there.
Breon Ansley, that really had that rivalry where we were kind of like, you know, smile and shake hands, but I knew he'd turn his back and he was like, he took my fucking champion. That guy.
Chris lost to Breon the previous 2 years before that. We said nothing. I never posted comparisons of abs and thighs next to Chris, or Chris posting abs and thighs, or side chests, or front doubles, or front lat from the pose down of him next to Breon where he's clearly dominating.
They don't feel like there's something they can do to beat you. So they need to find something else, bring you down and other excuses and shit.
There are moments where you win and yes, and then you go back and you're like, hey, my physique could have been a little bit better. People are like, did you really deserve to win? It was close. You shouldn't have won. Oh shit. I got to do better than that. I won. Now I have to maintain this. Not only maintain this, but this is the bare minimum of what's expected of me. I compete because I want to win. I love winning. I love being the best in the world I've sat.
Chris understood that to defend his title and silence the critics, he needed to work even harder. He and Ian Valier got to work with a clear goal to add density to his back and biceps as much as possible.
So I spent the full year really just focusing on training back and biceps harder than everything else. I created my program so to push it around that. I was eating more food on those days and I just pushed it hard as I can.
And it was also COVID. 3 years that we were fully shut down, like gyms were closed and shit. It was bad. Yeah.
What were you doing that time?
What was that experience?
We were working out in a basement. I had no distractions. I couldn't travel. I couldn't do anything else. I was at home all day, just bodybuilding, sleeping, cycling that in, and that was it. And the people were shocked at how much better I looked.
In early 2020, as the world went into lockdown, Chris Bumstead and Courtney King parted ways. A breakup no one saw coming, right when they needed each other the most.
It was during COVID. We took a short break, and then after a few months, I was like, I felt nothing for a while. It's done. Whatever, you know?
I tried to run and be like, I just need time alone. I think we should break up. I was just so insecure. And Chris, he was like my rock through a lot of this.
He was not your rock. He was the relationships rock.
The relationships rock.
He's the only one that's having the faith that you guys should stay together.
I obviously wanted to be with him, but I wasn't good. I was just so dealing with my own bullshit, like I said. So this last time it was like, yeah, I think we should break up, and him being like, okay. And I was like, wait, what? No, is that really what's gonna happen? Because you've never done that.
That was my breaking point. Yeah. We're breaking up, we're done. This is not a break. Like, if we leave, we're not done. I've seen a lot of my friends' relationship. I could tell you they didn't even like each other. They'd break up and then go back together and break up and go back together like 5 times. And I'm like, I'm never doing that.
Did you feel like that when we broke up?
A little bit.
You did?
I mean, I wasn't sure we were getting back together. I had points where I didn't at all. I had like a week or two of going over to Moses and crying. And then all of a sudden I was like, it's over, I'm fine. I played basketball with my friends, I was playing Warzone, sitting in his house for a while, and there's all this stuff and like no break.
He called me like right in the beginning. And I kind of like in the beginning, I wasn't too sure because usually Chris, if he doesn't talk about it, that means he's like subconsciously thinking about it, at least from my experience. So like he immediately just was like, yeah, we're over. And then he just like stopped right there. Like nothing else was coming out. And I was like, oh, that's it? it? And he's like, yep. And then he would move on to the next thing about like, oh, I just picked up this new book from the store. Like,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I got hit by this overwhelming like fear that like she would be gone forever. And I like started to really like process that. And I was like, I don't know if I can live without this girl. If we bring this back together, it's going to be hard. We're going to have to not only build what we didn't have, but repair what we've now lost and work forward and go through a lot of the stuff that we've now created more pain. But I was like, I feel like that I need to do it because this girl is so special, you know? Really?
I guess I want to say that I love you.
And as we approached the date for the Mr. Olympia 2020, it was clear that something was different about Chris. We saw a sharper, focused and more serious Cbum, with Courtney back by his side after more than 6 months apart. Their bond was stronger than ever, giving Chris even more drive to bring his best this year.
Where's he weak? Where do you get the champ?
Oh, I get him everywhere. Everywhere.
I mean, first off, I'm just fired up to be here right now. I truly feel like I'm coming in here. I'm not competing against anyone. Everyone's here to compete against me. Plastic Physique hadn't found someone who had set the standard of what it was meant to look like. This year I'm going to show an improved version of that, next year an improved version of that, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you guys what the standard of Plastic Physique is and what's going to be in the future, and I'm going to set it.
The moment finally arrived as Chris stepped onto the stage, and everyone was in awe. It was impressive to see how much improvement he had made in just 1 year. His arms looked better, and his legs showed amazing growth. Even his mustache was fuller, and when he turned around, it was game over.
This doesn't even look like someone that's 5 years apart. It doesn't even look like the same person.
I'm pretty hard on myself, and I knew I'd made some improvements in my back, but I was like, you never really know what it's going to look like on stage until you're on stage. Got off stage at prejudging, and I remember seeing the first picture of my own back, and I remember, holy shit, is that me? This is finally heading in the direction where I know like I'm meant to go.
His biggest weakness had transformed into his greatest strength. With that thicker, wider back, it was arguably his best shape ever.
To be up here to hear you say "and still." That felt good to hear.
This victory set up Cbum as one of the iconic figures in the world, representing the chill, healthy and masculine vibe.
When did you start to pop off on social media? Because your socials are huge.
It started to grow when I won my first Olympia, but it like popped off huge after that second one in 2020. Because the way I looked 2019 to 2020 was like, it looked like it was 3 years difference in between.
It's been really cool to be able to see he's really grasped and embraced that classic lifestyle. The 70s mustache.
Does it look good? You don't like it? The mustache was the first thing, and I did it just to piss off my girlfriend.
Like every male I know refers to you as daddy. How does that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable. Where people literally come up to me and they don't know what to say and they're like stuttering. They're like, "Daddy?"
Imagine being Cbum, having the best body a human can achieve. He's tall, he's fucking shredded, he's big as shit. If this was 600, 700 years ago, he'd be a leader of a fucking a clan. He'd be the president, bro. He'd be the fucking president, man. He'd be the chieftain. Yeah.
You are the true poster boy. I like the humble, I like the driven, I like the confidence.
Probably the most mainstream bodybuilder that ever existed without even getting into the movies.
Think of just like Arnold at 24 years old. Like, this is the reality of what he be doing, just like hitting the gym, looking like a beast. And you just look across the gym, you see Chris Bumstead just looking like a damn kid. You just see him. You see the dude, like you can't miss it. This is like the reality of it.
Speaking of Arnold, okay?
Yeah,
if you went back in the day, you were competing against Arnold back in the day, where would you stack up? Where do you think you'd stack up?
You're a winner, bro. You're a winner.
What's your body weight on stage?
240.
What was his body weight on stage?
Like 240-ish.
What was his height?
6'1".
What's your height?
6'1".
Oh, so who's winning this shit?
Back then, people weren't as lean. If I went back looking at that,
You would have been too lean.
I'd be the leanest person they've ever seen. They wouldn't even know what the fuck's going on. So I don't know if they would even want that. So maybe he would win because of that. But if he were to come today and compete against me in last year at the Olympia, I think I would beat him.
What's your and Arnold's relationship like?
I think that Chris Bumstead is fantastic.
I've talked to him like once, kind of for like a short conversation. He's a busy man, you know? I really never see him or talk to him.
I think that he's the most popular bodybuilder right now. That's the kind of a body I want.
And I don't think I would ever replace him as a GOAT in bodybuilding, because some people talk about that. But I don't think you can compare the impact he's had on the sport.
2021. Many people already expected another impressive evolution of Chris's physique in the next year, but there was one problem. It turned out that Chris had already reached his weight limit, which was set at 230 pounds. This left him with little room to grow and make any significant gains. And just as everything was falling into place for Chris to step on stage again, this happened.
Fitness influencer arrested after being caught with package of illegal steroids, police say.
Honestly, this is crazy. I never thought in a million years I'd be reporting on this.
Chris's sister, Melissa, was arrested in Palm City, Florida, just 4 weeks before the 2021 Mr. Olympia. She faced serious charges for allegedly receiving 6 different steroids and was accused of possessing a controlled substance without a valid prescription. This news turned Chris's home upside down.
When you're getting in there and you're overthinking and all these things come in too much of like, I have to do this, and this, I have to do a 4-second negative. Oh my God, that's going to be so hard. I should drop the weight. Then like, no. Just fucking get in there, know what you can do, bust your ass, and get out of there. On the same day as the Olympia, and it did. Woo! 1 million subscribers. That is absolutely insane.
At that show, Chris stepped onto the stage looking much like he had been before. But at this time, he was more confident and set the new standards for the newcomers such as Ramon, Dino, and Urs Kalinski. Chris dominated the competition, leaving everyone far behind. That night, he won his 3rd Olympia title, making history as the first classic physique competitor to achieve 3 championships in a row.
I have this thing I say champion mentality. It's not about winning, it's not about a trophy, it's about having no quit. It's about giving everything you have so that when you show up on game day before the results are over, you're proud of yourself and you know the work you put in.
Chris Bumstead!
Who thinks Cbum will ever compete in the Open?
Never. I won't. I don't. I mean,
I won't.
I will not.
I think he'll do one show just for fun eventually.
Really?
Not the Olympia. I think he'll just do one open show like for shit too.
Oh, no.
Do you think I'm gonna like get bigger for it or
No.
just like jump in?
No. Like if there was like a show like Toronto Pro like a week after the Olympia or something, and or like Tampa Pro right near the Olympia. It's like, oh, I did the Olympia, let's do this for fun.
What do you get if you win Mr. Olympia?
I got 50 G's last year.
Seems kind of light. Not gonna lie.
You don't make money off competing, that's for sure. My whole thing with money in my life was that if I made 100 grand a year, I was rich. I made it. That was the only thing I ever thought about. Probably the richest I've ever felt in my life was my first sponsorship I ever got. I was getting paid $2,200 a month. I remember going to the club and buying one of my friends drinks thinking I was a baller.
Chris realized that being a successful bodybuilder alone wouldn't be enough to sustain him. He was also thriving as an entrepreneur in the fitness world.
Without further ado, boom, there it is. A huge personal goal of mine, something I've been chasing after for a long time.
You're that Gymshark guy, right?
As I started to gain a lot more popularity, one of my sponsors was like, how about we make your own product? But it was still their brand. And it exploded. It did super well. I made like $80,000 over a weekend.
You're like, I'm rich.
I was like, wait, this much money is out there? So that was when I started to be like, all right, I need to do this for myself.
Can you say how many views you get on your Instagram stories?
1.5 to 2.5 million.
What?
Additionally to his YouTube ad revenue, he was actively expanding his businesses.
I bought a house, super excited about this. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to like get real estate and like build it. And I'm extremely proud of this accomplishment.
He launched his own Cbum merchandise line, the Cbum Fitness website, and also his own coaching app at the same time. He launched his apparel brand, the Cbum Apparel, which continued to grow after his initial success, and also joined Raw Nutrition as a co-owner of the business, showcasing his keen sense of branding and marketing.
So I ended up moving down to Florida. We started a company called Raw. When I first came down to Florida, it felt like so much more than a company. It felt like a culture. With Raw, they were like, there's no salary, there's no commission. The company that started, you're not going to be making any money right now. But we'll front the money to start the business. We'll all be equal partners, and it will be like a long-term play. And I was like, yeah, it just felt right. You know, I'm like, I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to bet on myself. You know, I might be cutting the salary right now. Like I could go buy these cool, like a nice house and a nice car and all these things right now. But how about I wait a little bit? And I mean, I only had to wait like 2 years and I was able to make good money from it.
And this was nothing comparing to the offers he was turning down. Offers so tempting, few could resist. This allowed him to diversify his income and solidify his place as a leading figure in the fitness and apparel world.
I'm technically pocketing less money than I've been offered. You know, I got offered a lot of money. I've turned down some crazy deals that I'm still like, holy shit. I've turned down some money that I never fathomed I would make in a lifetime, let alone in a year.
I want a number, Chris. Just give me an address.
Let's just say upwards of 7 figures. Of the biggest thing I've said no to.
Yes.
3 mil. 12-month contract. And like 3 stories a month. Over time, saying no to those things have opened up more doors and more opportunity. Where now when I say no to people, I get a better offer back. When I say no, I get a better offer back. Like, can you come to the trip? We'll give you 50 grand. I'm like, no, we'll give you 100. No, we'll get you a private jet, give you 150. I'm like, what? Baby. You know? But I've had to work really hard to get there. And
are you like a flashy person? You don't seem to be. Looks like you have some cool shoes and stuff, but like, what do you spend your money on?
I save a lot.
Save?
I invest in save a lot. I do like nice cars and like I do like cool shoes and like.
What kind of car do you drive? Oh, like how do y'all fit in these cars?
I had a motorcycle for a while too, but that was too scary, so I got rid of that. But no, I'm not like huge into the flashiness, and if I buy something nice, I definitely don't share it. That's not who I am. You know, I don't want people to think like I'm chasing success so I can buy nice things and you can have it too. I'm more like, no, like I'm chasing success because I like enjoy the journey and the effort I'm putting into it, the growth I get from it, and I just love my life every day.
2022. After guiding him to 3 classic physique Olympia titles, Chris and Ian formally announced that they would no longer be working together in order to focus on their own Mr. Olympia shows.
I knew the last Olympia, it took away from his Olympia. He enjoyed his last because he was worrying about me.
Patrick's worrying about me. I'm not worrying about me. I'm worrying about Chris.
And that's when the legendary partnership with Hany Rambod, aka the Champion Maker, entered the picture.
4 months out, 3.5 months out, I called him and asked him to coach me. And he thought I just meant mentally like help him. And I kind of like worded myself a little like, you know, you can maybe help me a bit here or that. And he's like, then I called him a week later, we were talking, and I was like, I mean like coach me fully.
Oh.
And he's like, oh. He's like, I need to think about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He put you on hold.
He put me on hold, yeah.
You're honey.
Motherfucker. So, secret's out. Honestly, you can't even call it a secret.
It's not a secret.
It's not a secret. It didn't even try and keep it a secret, but
not at all.
In October 2022, fans erupted with excitement when Bumstead announced his engagement to his girlfriend, Courtney King. It was a romantic moment.
We get up there and Kelvin first was like, okay, Court, you go over on this rock. I'm gonna do some like individual photos of you. I was like, okay, cool.
He's like, okay, Courtney, let's take pictures of you first. Like, go back there and take pictures. And I'm like, I'm fucking hungry. Like, let's get out of here. Like, playing I didn't want to be there. But literally.
Inside your heart.
Literally this. Yeah, literally like, he sent her out there and then he's like, all right, turn around, face the other way and like take some like girly pictures, like put your hands up. And he looks at me
like now, and I'm like, holy fuck. And I had our song. I played that song and I just like blasted at full volume, brought the speaker up.
I don't know where it came from. It was like under pressure, you know, I got it. Champion mentality.
That's right.
Looked the other way. I popped down on one knee. Babe, turn around. This is for you.
I love you very much.
You too.
You're the best ever.
I don't even know what a ring is, but I'm gonna die with this girl by my side because nothing's gonna tear us apart. Just we've built that connection through that trust.
That no matter what happens, even if you get to a point of like actually disliking each other, instead of giving up, you're gonna do absolutely everything in your power to come back together and work to build a relationship back, because that's what it takes. It's like understanding that there is no quit, you know? Champion mentality, no quit mentality. There's no quit.
While many said that Cbum didn't need a new coach, Chris knew better, because there was a Brazilian bodybuilder named Ramon Dino who was improving quickly, and many believed that if he kept it up, he could dethrone Cbum. Chris was all set for the show, but just hours prior to the contest, something unexpected happened. He tore his left biceps.
I have no idea how it even happened. Like my arm hurt on like the Wednesday before. Thursday it hurt more. Friday it was kind of swollen. And then Saturday morning, the morning of the show, you get up at like 5 a.m. and my arm was like red and swollen. I was just like worried and stressed about it. And I was just like, why does it have to happen today? All this shit. Why me, like victim kind of mindset.
On the day of the show, everyone was pointing fingers at Chris's left bicep. While Ramon's physique was noticeably improved, his presentation and conditioning was flawless, with added thickness to the back. Even Chris knew that Ramon had become his main rival. And this moment between the two brought a fresh energy to the Mr. Olympia stage, bringing the competition back to its life again.
My coach this time actually came up to me and I got off stage and he came up to me and he looked at me like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, smile up there, man. Like, relax. Like, own it. You're the champion. Like, bring that confidence. Like, fuck your on. What are you going to do about it? And it just like woke me up. I was like, it's so right. This is one of those moments where like, what's in your control, what's not in your control. I feel like I go into the next one. I'm like, what the fuck could happen worse now, you know?
Ramon was at his best, but it wasn't enough. Chris went to win his 4th title that night.
There we Classic go. Physique champ, 4-time Olympian.
You know, it's been a beautiful year for me, to say the least. There's been a lot of talk of my retirement for whatever reason. Not retiring. Don't worry, guys. I'm not going away. I'm here. I love what I'm doing. Come back next year for number 5. I'm ready to rock it. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. I can't wait to be back here next year. Let's do it all again.
2023.
What's up, YouTube?
Shit's crazy, man. Shit's crazy, man.
After this win, and despite beating his main rival, Chris Bumstead took Ramon under his wing like a brother, even traveling to Brazil to train with him. They became good friends despite struggling with communication, since Ramon's English vocabulary had only one word.
He's like the nicest guy ever. He couldn't speak English, so he's just like, shit's crazy, my man, shit's crazy.
It's pretty cool to watch, because people would expect you would hate each other.
Très bien. Big pump. He talks to me and he has a lot of respect for me. We've like worked out together and we couldn't speak. You could just tell he like respected everything I was doing, was watching what I was doing, and was like really like conscious of it. So
Fala de merda que ele me deu.
Because he has a good heart too. There's a reason why he's number 2, but while I'm here, I could say number 2. You know, me and Ramon, I think we set a good example by respecting each other, and he pushes me to be better every single day. You can have assholes competing against you, but it's a lot more fun to have friends you compete against with good hearts.
Can you hold it?
He can't.
Can you hold it?
I can't hold it. Not with her.
August 5th, 2023 was just another day on the calendar. But for Chris, it was a moment to remember. Every father dreams of meeting his little girl, and Chris couldn't help but smile, imagining how special this journey would be.
We always throw in a little extra when you check the box that would you like to have a child during this prep, along with trying to win a title, and they both pressed yes. Courtney and Cbum are having a baby.
Congratulations to them.
Yes.
Amazing.
Huge congratulations to them. It's funny, man. Like, I remember when he heard that you guys were having a kid, and he's like, well, I want to have one.
Yeah.
He's like, I want one of those.
What I'm most looking forward to, most excited about, is my baby that's coming in April. What type of man would you like your daughter to date?
I want her to date someone like you, like her dad.
Every mentality means having no quit. Keep pushing, babe.
Are you gonna drink my breast milk? That's a trending thing.
In that moment, he made a decision that he only knew. This year would be his final year on stage. He planned to announce his retirement from bodybuilding, but fate had other plans. Just as he began his prep, warning signs started to appear. Just 10 weeks out, he tore his lat.
I'm working out, feeling tired, but I'm like, whatever. Like on like rep 9 or something, I should pop, and my lat just like kind of pulls, and I tore my lat, and I was just
no
like,
way.
Like what just happened? I just tear my lat, and I like couldn't move my arm, and I remember I was like devastated. I was in the middle of the gym. I didn't want to tell anyone. I just done it because I didn't want anyone to know. So I like walk out, arm like this, and I didn't want to be an asshole. So I started taking the weights off the bar. I'm trying to take 4 plates off just with one arm.
Oh my gosh.
Move it, put it away, and then I leave and I drive home, and I start crying behind the gym. I'm like, I feel like I just lost the Olympia, you know, going in for my 5th title, and now I'm not gonna be able to compete.
The only one that created stress was because of Cbum's injury, and I didn't know how his body was going to react, and rightfully so, because it didn't react the same way as the year before. And so I had to give a different look. I had to go for a fuller look, try to get more 3D, try to give it more pop.
For a while, he couldn't even train, losing 10 pounds in the process. It felt like the universe was testing his decision, making him question if this was truly his last ride. Yet, he pushed through.
Damn, motherfucker. Maybe I'm just tired. Yeah, all that being said, been a good year so far. I don't know.
And then just 6 weeks out, Chris hit one of the hardest moments of his career. He found himself in a breaking point, emotionally overwhelmed, lying on the bathroom floor in tears.
6 weeks out from the Olympia, you were on the bathroom floor crying.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's part of it I actually can't touch on. But it was Olympia, I'd been prepping for weeks, a lot going on in my life. Something happened within my family that was really stressful that I'm not going to touch on, but it greatly impacting us going forward and causing a lot of stress and anxiety in myself and my whole family. And we had just moved to Florida, all this shit going on, still fears about my health, and I had gotten, I didn't speak about anything. It was just like, okay, wake up, do cardio, go to the gym, go to work, do this, do that, just don't think about it, put it down, push it down, push it. And I kept doing that. My fiance, she was noticing I was a little bit off. She just knew something was off, and she's like, are you good? Like, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm good. She asked me again, she's like, are you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. Like, and then I was like in the bathroom, she came in, like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. And she asked me one more time, she's like, look at me, are you okay? And I just started bawling. And I had no idea. I didn't know I was that stressed out. I just was like, no. And I just started falling, like hit the floor, was just sobbing. I was just like, I just feel like the world's crashing down on me right now. Just had a really rough start to this prep, and I didn't know if I was gonna get through it. She just like built this confidence in me. I was just like, I can lean on people. People are there to help me. I can share how I feel. Because my whole life it was just bottle everything up. You can handle it all by yourself. You know, you're a man, you can handle this shit. And I think it's just a testament of what I've been through in the past and learning from it and growing from it, because it's really all we can do.
Ghost, you copy?
Yes, sir.
Any issues?
Negative, sir. Out here.
Welcome to level 5. You're gonna earn this shit.
On the day of the contest, the tension was in the air.
Yeah, so definitely that he's getting older.
I put in the work. I know these guys are fighting for second place, and I'm just here to help.
See you tonight? See you tonight. Yeah, see you tonight.
See you tonight. It's good, man.
A few inches later.
Shit's crazy, my man.
Behind the calm expression, you could sense the struggle that he had faced leading up to this moment. His body had been through hell and it showed, especially from the back, when he looked a little worn and less sharp than usual. And right there in the lineup, ready to challenge Chris's title, was Ramon Dino. Ramon had arrived in the shape of his life. His physique was refined, his posing was sharper, and his overall presentation stronger. For the very first time in years, there was a real question in the air. Could Ramon take down Cbum? Chris, though not at his peak, still had the champion's presence, and the judges saw it, the fans felt it, and somehow against the odds, he pulled through. As the final announcement echoed through the arena, Chris Bumstead was crowned the classic champion once again, a well-earned win that brought his 5th medal around his neck. As he took the mic for his victory speech, words of farewell hovered on his lips. This was meant to be his final bow, but in that moment something held him back. He felt a pull, a reason to stay, and in silence he retreated from his planned announcement.
Anyone close to me knows how special this one is. And I remember when I tore my hat in the gym, I called my fiance, called Hany, I called my parents, I talked to my sister Ian, and I cried. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Thank you guys so much for this beautiful thing. And my team, Hany, I couldn't do this without you. Courtney, my fiance, I love you so much. Everybody, I effing love you guys so much.
I'm just going to let you enjoy this moment, my friend. So no questions about the future. No question whether Cbum's staying or going. Just enjoy being your 5-time Olympia champion, my friend. The most popular man on the planet, folks, when it comes to bodybuilding. Cbum, 5-time champion.
But this time victory tasted a little different. It was hard fought, earned through grit and sheer willpower. Ramon had come closer than ever, and everyone knew that Chris's reign was nearing its end. But for now, he had done it.
Wouldn't it make more sense for you today to step away from the game and shock the hell out of the entire industry at a young age, encourage the youth, hey, yeah, you can have a good physique and all this other stuff, but there's more important things in life than winning 10 more. And forever you're going to be the mythical figure that if this guy would have gone, he could have potentially won double digit. Because what's the difference between 5 and 6 or 7? Nothing. Mm-hmm. The only other number that matters, you know what's the other number that matters? It's 9.
Yeah, for sure. Bodybuilding isn't making me healthier. Absolutely not. If being 10-time Mr. Olympia would take away from me being dad, fuck 10 times Mr. Olympia. That's not what I care about.
2021, that absolute chaos. 2022, the bicep tear. 2023, the lat tear. I've just had all these things kind of hit me, and I just really want this year to be my best year.
2024.
This year is just very important to me to really want to bring my best package, you know? Just want to be able to stride into this one. I want to be able to enjoy it. I want to be able to get off stage, kiss my wife, hold my baby, know that I became the best in the world and maintained a beautiful relationship through it.
The whole world knows the link between certain bodybuilding supplements and hair loss. So Chris Bumstead took matters into his own hand and traveled halfway around the world from Toronto to Istanbul to get a hair transplant, all in hopes of keeping his look sharp for his little girl.
Your most memorable sacrifice till today in your bodybuilding journey? That's easy. That would have to be my hairline. That's my biggest sacrifice. Obviously, bodybuilding can lead to some hair loss, and winter down in Turkey getting a new hairline and didn't go.
That's sweet, dude.
On April 2nd, 2024, Chris received the most important news a man can get: the birth of his little daughter, a beautiful baby girl named Bradley Shea Bumstead.
Chris, you get 3,000 points because you're married. You get another 3,000 points because now you have Bradley.
Talk to me about dad life. How is it?
It's been good. It's been really good. The first thing that hit me is just absolute love and appreciation for my wife, especially watching her go through like the birth process and everything. Holy hell. Women are incredible. It was crazy. Like, there's zero chance I would have gone through that. Like, it was so much pain, and she just handled it like a champ. I'm already getting emotional thinking about the moment. Bradley was being fussy. She was like crying a lot, and I took her in the back room, and I just laid with her, walked around with her, and she calmed down, and I just laid down, and she wouldn't sleep, but she fell asleep on my chest. And I was like, if you could ever just, without being able to put into words, experience what love is, like, it couldn't be more powerful than that. I was like, how can I love this little thing so much? Every like stress about work, travel, Olympia, all these things, they just like wash away. And you're like, it doesn't matter if I have this. This is it. Just this concept I thought of that your children eventually will know exactly who you are.
Why did they fear father so much? Before you were born, he was something else. Something unhuman.
Chris was more experienced than ever. He knew this would be his last competition, the final dance. He wanted to start this prep with a fresh and emotionally healthy perspective.
That's crazy. Fucking incredible.
Right?
Holy shit.
Off the road.
Yeah, I can see it. Oh, shit. You good?
And becoming a father made everything feel more special. This prep felt different. It was his calmest yet, more confident than ever. He was not just preparing to compete, but also to leave a legacy. And what a better way to do that than the 60th anniversary of Mr. Olympia. Amidst all this, Chris announced an exciting new partnership with a billion-dollar company, Gymshark. He returned not just as an athlete, but as part owner now. This was a major milestone, perfectly showcasing his growth as a businessman.
Daddy's home. Oh, an old friend or something. They're like, are you a equal owner, equal partner in Gymshark? I'm like, yeah, they gave me $1 billion stake in Gymshark. But no, it's good.
As the day of the Mr. Olympia approached, Chris was more confident than ever before, ready to take the stage one last time.
Bro, this year, I told you last year, remember? This year, bro, you... Over for you, bro. Don't touch me, bro. Don't touch me, bro.
Are you threatened by these guys, or are they still fighting for second?
Like I said before, I truly don't believe anyone is a threat right now. You know, I hear them all saying I'm gonna win, but when I look them all in the eye, I don't believe they believe themselves when they say that. So I'm not gonna believe it myself.
The classic physique division had evolved tremendously over the years. This year was particularly tough, with 64 contenders fighting for the coveted title, each one bringing their best to the stage. Yet amidst the fierce competition, Chris stepped onto the stage delivering his trademark muscle mass, separation, conditioning, definition, symmetry and balance. Although German bodybuilders Mike Sommerfeld and Urs Galensky brought their A-game, it wasn't enough to unseat Bumstead. When the finals came, Chris knew it was time for one more stunning pose, one last flex, one final dance to soak in the cheers, to look onto the faces of his friends and fans who shared the excitement and say one final time, wow, he's from another planet. It was the culmination of his journey, a celebration of everything he had achieved and the legacy he was leaving behind.
Bodybuilding has been a beautiful experience for me, and I will continue it for the rest of my life. I only stopped competing, but I'm not stopping bodybuilding.
And six-time Olympia champion, Chris Bumstead.
Good stuff, man.
Good stuff. Congrats,
yes, sir.
Bumstead.
Good stuff.
Chris Bumstead went to win his 6th and final Olympia title in Las Vegas in an unforgettable moment. Just like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chris announced his retirement from competitive bodybuilding in front of millions watching, leaving a legacy that will be difficult to surpass.
I think a lot of people know what's coming tonight, and it's with a really bittersweet feeling that this is going to be my last time up on the stage. I really hope I've set the standard. 6 years ago, in 2019, before I ever won the Olympia, I said I was going to set the standard for what the classic physique division was going to become. And I had no idea what I was saying at the time. I was a young, ignorant kid just chasing after a dream. And here we are, 6 years later, 6 teeth around my neck. You know, a lot of people say that the longer you're on the top, the more people want to see you fall. And I have never experienced that. I'm so sorry that this is going to be my last time up here, but it won't be the last of me you see feeling it all and just enjoying the moment. Thank you, guys.
On behalf of all the people here and around the world, you have been the greatest champion that we could have possibly asked for in the classic physique division. You have represented, you are a true champion at heart, and even though you're not going to be competing anymore, you're going to be an integral part of this sport. Standing ovation as it should be. Chris Bumstead, enjoy this moment on the Olympia stage.
Chris Bumstead wasn't done just yet. His retirement, it seemed, was only temporary.
Guess who's back? Got balls like an elephant. No one would do what he done. No one.
Still doing that, Andre? Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Finally doing an open show. I've been wanting to do this my whole life, really. And you guys can finally get to see what an open Cbum looks like.
He decided to step back on stage, but this time in an open class, something the fans have been dreaming of for years. For the love of the sport, and for the people who supported him every step of the way, Chris walked out on the Prague stage wearing the same blue posing trunks he had worn at 19 during his first ever competition. The arena erupted. It was as if time had rewound, yet here was a new version of Chris, bigger, fuller, and more polished than anyone expected. He looked incredible, so good that many, including myself, believed he deserved the win. But even as the dust settled and Chris stood in second place, it didn't feel like a loss. It felt like the closing of a circle, a fitting tribute to where it all began and everything he had become. Chris gave his fans the memory they had always hoped for, closing his career with a final act of passion and perfection.
There's no better way to do it. Honestly, he was not joking when he said he wanted to set a pretty good fucking example.
Was this really the last competition?
purpose of the show was for me to get on stage as the underdog, no expectations to win, come up here in the midst of the battle, have some fun, and that's what it was. It was for the love of the sport.
Man, I want to give you something to think about, something to chew on.
Uh-oh.
We know you got something.
What do we got? Oh.
But this bad boy right here, you know what? This thing has been awarded to only 16 individuals, and their names are engraved across the bottom. My point to you is that this could be yours this year.
Reflecting on the early days, no one could have imagined that anyone could have come close to the impact Arnold Schwarzenegger had on bodybuilding. Yet, here we are. A kid from Ottawa, once struggling with lisp and blessed with incredible genetics, conquered the bodybuilding world and became a global icon.
If that kid could imagine being me right now, you know? Like how hard I've worked since being that kid to now to be where I am. And like how proud he would be of who I am and how proud I am of him.
We've said it a zillion times and we'll say it a zillion more. Like, we're incredibly proud of his devotion and his work ethic and his genuine soul. Like, he's just such an amazing person. Like, it's almost hard to believe, you know, we produced that.
My parents honestly still tell me to this day, like, you can go back to school and get your degree.
So after all this stuff, what do you focus on? Are you gonna do like acting? Are you gonna try and do something like in that line? You going to like full Arnold route?
No, I don't think I could act. I'm just gonna have to figure out how in the future. But maybe I'll have my own show one day. Maybe kind of just some way I'd like to just help the sport grow, especially the classic physique division.
People who know me, they all know that when I'm done, I'm ready to move into the mountains with no one knows my address, no secure, no whatever, no data, no Wi-Fi, just disappear.
My goal is to be able to like build enough providing for my family that I can provide more of my extended family and bring everybody to the same place. So,
with millions of fans eagerly awaiting for the possibility of a comeback, he continues to inspire countless individuals around the globe, proving that his greatness goes beyond the stage.
Till then, we live life normally and we move on with it. So that's it.
Chris Bumstead, ladies and gentlemen. Chris, let's bring this one home. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
Bye. Don't show her parts.
There was a time I had enough, and I came for the summer. Didn't know what I would felt alone, but I was about to break. Have you ever felt like this before? I wasn't looking for anyone, I had nothing left to give. Convinced that I was really done with love and everything. Have you ever felt like this before? That you came with a smile I couldn't be.